Welcome back to 2 Cents We See Scary Movies, where we trade common sense for horror sense and call it film analysis. I'm Talon, the one who'd rather go broke than babysit in a house that smells like mothballs and unbaptized energy. And Dan, he's the guy who'd go check out the noise in the basement just to see if the killer's doing it right. This month's theme is not just another Halloween movie, because October isn't just about masks, machetes, and that one unstoppable guy who somehow survived more sequels than logic should allow. And this week, we're talking Ty West's The House of the Devil, a slow burn descent into 1980s satanic panic, back when every babysitter in horror was one bad decision away from a blood ritual. It's eerie, it's patient, and it's proof that sometimes easy money just means you're underpaid for the possession that follows. We'll be breaking it down in 3 parts: the job, the longest night ever, and the ritual and the aftermath. So grab your Walkman, ignore every survival instinct you've ever had, and let's head to the creepiest babysitting gig ever put on film.
Alrighty, so we have part 1, the job. So we open up with a warning card that is basically saying, hey, remember the 80s? Everyone thought Satan was hiding under their couch cushions.
Yeah.
So right away, we know Ty West, the director, is diving headfirst into the satanic panic era, the good old days. The music, the clothes, even the ugly wallpaper. It's pure 80s misery. Any of the fans that remember the 80s, they remember all of that stuff. I mean, I remember things that give me nightmares to this day.
Right.
And then just talking about the upholstery.
Right.
So early on, we see news reports about a rare total lunar eclipse that's about to happen, culminating on Halloween night. And it's got everybody glued to their TV. Everybody's like, oh my God, because again, back then, there was no 24-hour news cycle. There was no constant barrage of stuff. So this was actual news. It sets the stage, but also quietly plants the seed that this event means more than a science lesson. So much for Mr. Wizard.
Ah, Mr. Wizard. I forgot about him.
Yeah, I like throwing in those little details.
He was pre-Bill Nye.
Yeah, absolutely. I think,
way back then.
Yeah, I mean, Bill Nye probably could have been one of the kids on the show.
Yeah, right. Totally.
All right, so we have Samantha Hughes that is introduced. She's a broke college student, played by Jocelyn Donahue. She's wandering campus, counting coins like she's auditioning for a Depression-era musical. I'm 50 years old with my own house, and I'm still doing that. Rent's due. She's desperate, and every phone she touches looks like it could electrocute her. For the younger folks, the phone that they're referencing is a pay phone. It used to be this little box that you would go and you put at first 5 cents, and then it went up to 10 cents, then it went up to 25 cents.
Right. That also reminds me of, do you remember pay toilets?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I used to remember Kmart and Ames. Ames was a store back in the day. They had pay toilets. You put a dime in to go into the bathroom.
Yep. All right. So that's a good explanation for the younger crowd.
You're right. Yep.
So she spots a babysitting ad that's posted. And of course, because of a horror movie, she does a logical thing. And she obviously calls the creepy stranger on the ad. We have Mr. Ullman, who answers the phone, and he sounds like a very polite man. Definitely a Barry's Bodies sort of energy.
Yeah.
He offers a job immediately. He's like, yeah, you're hired, man.
Yeah.
She's all excited about it. And as I recall, he says that she's got to be at this particular payphone at a particular time. That whole thing happens, and they miss each other, and then they get back together. And there was a little confusion of, oh, do you really want the job? Yeah, I really want the job. I didn't know if you wanted me to have the job. I mean, just that whole thing. Samantha's friend Megan, played by Greta Gerwig, tags along for moral support. She's the one friend who's all vibes and no caution in certain circumstances. It doesn't mean she doesn't have safety in mind, but just kind of a free flow sort of person.
Yeah.
Which obviously makes her the perfect horror sidekick.
Mm-hmm.
They get to the house, and it's instantly red flag city. It's a huge mansion. It's dark. It's isolated. It's far back in the woods, and there's nobody else around. And the people who own it, the Ullmans, they just have this really creepy smile that just slowly comes across their face.
He is slow. Yeah.
Yeah. Mr. Ullman, who's played by Tom Noonan rather, is tall, and he is tall. You
Yeah,
know, if you watch the movie, he's a very tall individual.
very tall and slender,
Yeah.
like Slenderman
uh,
almost. He could play a
that
Slenderman.
that's why I started giggling. I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah, Slender Man. So he's soft spoken and he's just unsettlingly calm. Like you would think that he'd be like a warm, welcoming sort of person. No, this guy is like way too creepily calm.
yeah,
Mrs. Allman shows up acting like she's auditioning for the Stepford Wives. We come to the twist because there's some conversation and there's not a lot going on here. You know,
yeah.
it's one of those movies that kind of brings you back to like the 60s and the 70s, like the slow burn horror, like
Uh-huh.
Rosemary's Baby or even The
Right,
Exorcist without The Exorcist's payoff,
right, yeah,
but it brings you back to those types of horror movies. So in the discussions, I mean, it was just kind of slow and dry in the beginning. So they just keep like referring to the babysitting gig, but they don't really say what it is
right,
until Mr. Ullman and Samantha sit down together. They find out that there's no kid. The babysitting job is just, to watch over Mr. Ullman's elderly mother-in-law who's just upstairs. While they're talking, Samantha's like, yeah, no, I don't want to do that. So Mr. Ullman pulls out like money and he's like, how about, 100? How about 200? How about 300? He ends up pulling out $400 and all she's got to do is sit in a chair all night.
yeah.
And, there's nothing weird about that at all.
No,
400 bucks just to sit in a chair. I mean,
for 4 hours?
yeah, let's just throw caution to the wind.
Yeah,
This is where Megan's safety thing comes into play. She's calling it like it is. It's like, this is weird as hell. Samantha, she's thinking as a responsible broke college student would, ignores every red flag known that's being thrown at
mhm.
her and just takes the gig anyway. That night, right there, the first nail in the coffin, her acceptance of the job. So, it's kind of the calm before the ritual.
Alright, so the pacing of this movie. Now I understand it is absolutely a slow burn, which I liked, but for me, the pacing of the first 25 minutes where she's just, walking around campus, it's so slow. That part to me is not a slow burn because when there's a slow burn, there's usually tension that's a scary tension, not I'm broke tension, not
Right.
anxiety. Because technically it starts off where she is in a house that she's gonna rent because she doesn't like her messy, annoying roommate.
Yep.
So she is gonna rent this house, which was a whole house for $300. It's like, sweet. Like,
Right.
nice. The lady offers it to her, thinks she'll be a great tenant. She takes it. She ends up hanging out with her friend and talking about it, and she's all worried because she has $82 and doesn't have a job. It's like, why did you
Right.
even think you could move in somewhere? Like, what? Why would you get
Eh,
your own place? But okay.
it's move in, consequences later. Yeah,
Right,
who
right.
knows?
So she's all worried because she needs to give this woman $300 for the first month's rent by Monday, and it's Wednesday. So that's when the babysitting ad comes in. But the first 25 minutes is literally just her walking around worried about having to pay rent. And then there's the whole thing where she calls the guy and he's like, "Oh, I'm going to pick you up. Meet me at the, I don't know, student center or someplace."
Yeah, I think it was a student center, yeah.
Yeah, and she just sat there to the point where she fell asleep on the steps and he never showed up.
Right.
But that's all it is, like, for the first 25 minutes. To me, there was nothing tense at all or anything about that part. It kinda drove me crazy. If I weren't doing this movie for this podcast, I would have absolutely turned it off. I would not have
Yeah.
kept watching it, which is unfortunate because after they get to the house, that's when the actual slow burn tension comes into play for me, is that part. And also, just a quick mention, in the beginning, the landlady is Dee Wallace. Well, she's now, I guess, Dee Wallace, but she used to be Dee Wallace Stone from Cujo
Yeah.
fame
Right.
and many other movies, but that's, where I remember her most. But she had a quick cameo as the landlady, but also had title credit. Like, and Dee Wallace was in the when they were doing the credits at the beginning, and I was like, she had 5 minutes, like, of whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did not enjoy the first 25 minutes of this movie. It was they could have easily just shown that she got a house. She was with her friend at the pizza parlor, worried about it. Maybe see her annoying roommate if you need to. I don't know, but then they could just have left and gone to town. Or
Yeah,
she
I mean,
answered the babysitter ad and then they left and went to the house. That would have been enough.
they probably could have cut at least half of it,
Oh yeah, totally.
12 minutes, 12 and a half minutes, and then called it good because I think, in that respect, the way the story was being set up, Think 12 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, I know 12 minutes is like an odd like number to throw out there, but I'm
Right.
just saying like
Mhm.
cut it in half.
Yeah.
That they could have told all of that within that time frame. It just felt like there was some repetitiveness.
Yeah.
Parts where they kept on missing each other, I
Yeah.
didn't like that.
Yeah. That was pointless.
It took away from the movie. I mean, I can see what he was trying to do, trying to set up like there might be some hesitancy on both sides, but the way it was done, I just didn't like how that whole thing transpired because, kids waiting out at the student center, the
Yeah.
guy doesn't show, he ghosts her,
Right.
before ghosting was a thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And, she's missing phone calls at pay phones, and he's just very like, because the thing, he doesn't give her a time frame to go meet her. It's just like, meet me at the student center. She's like,
Right.
now, and he hangs up on
Yeah.
her. you know?
Yeah. So they could have totally done without all of that. They could have definitely cut that
Yeah.
in half. I did like, though, even from the very beginning, I loved the way it was shot. Definitely, it felt like I was watching a movie from back early 80s, at least, maybe
Yeah.
something in the 70s. It definitely had that feel to it, which was really nice. And it was funny because as I was looking at people who were in the cast, I was like, gosh, because I was thinking, oh, these people are probably, 50 some years old now.
Right.
And they're not, but it did have a really cool feel to it. He shot it really well.
Yeah, because I think the
Mhm.
movie came out, I think originally in 2009, maybe.
Yeah, somewhere in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing I wanted to mention was she had her friend drive her to the house because she doesn't have a car. And her friend wanted to stay. And the old man, when he answered, you could tell he was a little like put off by the fact that she had someone with her.
Yeah. So,
Eh,
oh, you have a friend?
Great. You're ruining everything. And so
Thanks for
they
ruining the threesome.
Right. Now it's gonna be a foursome. Fantastic. They go inside, they're talking, and the friend's asking a lot of questions that he's not answering, by the way. She keeps asking
Yeah,
him what
he's
he
just
does
blowing
for
her
work,
off.
and he keeps changing the topic, basically. But then he's like, Samantha, can I talk to you privately? So they go off to the kitchen. Basically, he just says, I don't have enough money to pay 2 babysitters. And she's like, oh, she's leaving. She just dropped me off because I don't have a car. And then they go through the whole, okay, I don't have a baby. I have a old lady that I need you to watch, but she doesn't do anything. So it'll be 4 hours of just watching TV. It won't be a big deal. And then she was like, I don't know anything about taking care of old people, blah, 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 blah. He's like, no, really, she can get around on her own. She's fine. He's like, I'll double it. So that makes it $100. But then she's
Right.
like, $400. And I'm like, wait, so he can pay you $400 for 4 hours to watch his mother-in-law, but he can't pay 2 babysitters?
Right.
$50 a piece, maybe? Like, what? That wasn't a red flag to you? Like, you didn't think, well, that's
Right.
weird.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. That's where we find out why he was being so secretive, like
oh,
on
yeah,
the
yeah.
phone and stuff. It's like, a lot of babysitters, once they find out what I need, they end up leaving. And
Yeah.
I'm really desperate to have somebody here.
Yeah. Yeah. This movie also had the saying 2 shakes of a lamb's tail, which was
Yes.
in Clovehitch Killer, because when he went to go upstairs to get his wife, he was like, "I'll be right back in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail." And I was like,
Yep.
"Oh, this is what creepy guys say, I guess." This is the creepy guy slogan. I was like,
Right.
"Okay, all right."
Creepy guy slogan. Alrighty, so now we're in part 2, the longest night ever. So now we're in full what could possibly go wrong mode.
I don't know.
Um, the almonds left, the house is creaking, and Samantha's officially the world's highest paid non-babysitter.
Right.
Especially for the 80s. I mean, $400 in the 80s? I mean, you're talking like the equivalent of a couple thousand.
Yeah, I mean, even like the $50 he originally was gonna pay her was a pretty decent amount.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you look at inflation and all that shit. I mean, $50 was a lot of money back then.
Right.
She wanders the house trying to convince herself she's fine. I'm fine. I'm good. Everything's fine. You're fine.
We're all fine.
The camera practically breathes down her neck the whole time. Like it's just like
Mhm.
right on top of her, and it looks like the house is watching her. The fridge hums like it's judging her life choices. Doors
Yeah.
open themselves, and the only phone that works is possessed by Verizon's demonic cousin. Let's see, what was that? AT&T?
Yeah, right. Well, it was Bell Atlantic back in that day.
Oh yes, Bell Atlantic. That's right.
Yeah.
There's a locked door near the basement that won't budge. And we all know that's where evil lives. We saw it in the Deep House.
Yeah.
The locked blocked door There's
Right.
nothing ever good that's behind a locked block door, especially if
Don't
it's
go
going to
there.
the basement.
Right. Don't go
So the
there.
door won't budge. She's still poking around after she couldn't open the door. It's kind of like House Hunters Hell Edition.
Right.
Mr. Ullman had been almost insistent that she order pizza earlier. Like, he was very creepily,
Yeah.
like, wanting her to order pizza.
And he kept doing it in a very nonchalant way, though. Like, oops, did I mention that already? Oops.
Yeah, yeah. Better not be Papa John's, though.
No.
He mentioned it 3 or 4 times, before leaving. Being the good babysitter she is, she finally orders the pizza, thinking that it'll make everything feel a little bit more normal than what's going on. She kills some time by dancing through the house to one thing leads to another by the fix. She's blissfully unaware that one thing absolutely will lead to another. It's another thing in horror movies. Like, they never think about these things. Like, oh, this one creepy thing
Yeah.
may lead to this creepy thing, may lead to this creepy thing. It's like, oh, this creepy thing, we'll just forget about it. And everything's going to be all Snow White and fun and games.
And then you still see, you see another creepy thing. You're like, and then another creepy thing. And you don't
Right.
realize that you now have 10 or 12 creepy things, but you're still disregarding all of them.
Right. So meanwhile, Megan's still chilling in the car. I believe she's driven a little ways away from the house, but she's still like near the property.
Yeah.
A random guy just walks up and he's like, "Are you the babysitter?" And before she can even blink, boom! There's a quick, fast headshot.
Yeah.
It's a pretty brutal shot, too.
Yeah, it was good.
I'm pretty sure it's Ty West's way of saying no one is safe, not even Greta Gerwig,
Who was not 50.
who was not 50.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was a brutal headshot. It really
Yeah.
was.
I was not expecting it at all.
Yeah. And honestly, I didn't realize that was part of the pizza delivery service because he, ends up being the pizza delivery guy.
Right. Pizza delivery is rough. I'm just saying.
So he brings the pizza to Samantha. Samantha eats a few bites, starts feeling a little strange, and then realizes that the pizza was drugged. Her vision blurs, her limbs give out, and she collapses to the floor just as the lunar eclipse reaches its peak outside. And that's the tipping point. We're done with dread, and we're heading straight into hell.
Right. So in this part, I do want to talk about the Walkman because I was a cassette Walkman. I don't know. It instantly took me back. Like I felt like because again, this movie, the way it's shot, definitely felt very 80s. But I haven't seen a cassette Walkman in years, decades probably.
No, I mean, those things are bulky.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, God, that's so fantastic. I totally missed that. I mean, I just missed even the sound of it when she was putting the tape in.
Right.
That sound was so nostalgic. Yes. I was
the
like,
click and snap.
Yeah. I was like, God, that feels really good. It just felt great. I loved it.
Well, I mean, it's like I love like MP3s and the clear sound, but every once in a while, I love listening to the record crack.
Right.
The little cracks and pops.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really a nice, all of it. Just that nostalgic sound that feeling it gives you.
Right.
So the scene where Megan gets shot, the first time I watched it, I did not remember what the heck was going on. Like, because she was supposed to stay, but then of course she had to leave because Samantha was like, "Oh, he can't, pay more than one babysitter because he's paying me $400." So,
right.
So she goes and leaves. She's not happy about it. She's pissed off. She thinks it's weird. She takes off, and there's a cemetery. I don't know if it's on the property or just adjacent to the property. But she just drives down and pulls into the cemetery, which, what? That's a horrible idea. From the get-go. Like, what are you thinking?
Yeah, no.
Why are you pulling into that?
I mean, it's dark out. Zombies live there.
Right. And we're going to have an eclipse? Come on now.
Right.
Do you know you're not, you realize that you're in a horror movie? Come on, girl.
I mean, that's what you signed up for.
Right. So she pulls into the cemetery and I'm assuming that because it felt like they lived a decent amount of time away and she was only going to be there for 4 hours. So she probably was like, I'm not actually going to leave. I'm just going to pull into the cemetery and sit in the cemetery for 4 hours and smoke cigarettes.
Right.
So she pulls in, she tries to light a cigarette, doesn't work. All of a sudden that guy shows up and he offers her a light. He seems fine or whatever. Everything seems normal. And then she gets a little snippy with him, and he's like, "Aren't you the babysitter?" And she's like, "No, I'm not the baby." And then as soon as before she can finish the sentence, bam, like gone. And I was like, "Whoa!" I just was not expecting that at all. I was like, "Okay, so she's dead." And then he ends up getting into the car and taking her cigarette, to finish it.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of
Yeah.
funny.
I mean, you don't wanna waste a cigarette.
No, God, those are well, they weren't expensive back in the day. They are now, but maybe he was just anticipating inflation. I don't know. The other scene, that guy then later on, because during this whole middle section of the movie, she's running around just looking at different things in the house. She has the whole dance scene, which was a fun little scene. I like the music. I like the music in this movie. She ends up bumping into a vase and knocks that off and breaks it. And I was like, well, there goes your $400.
Yeah, right.
I was like, damn.
Super glue ain't
Yeah,
fixing that.
I know, that's what I was thinking. I was like, "Why are you sweeping it up and throwing it away?" I would do everything possible to put that shit back together and hope they never notice until I'm gone, gone, gone.
Paper mache that shit.
Right, something. So, then she opens a closet and she sees some pictures, which they never really go into, but I guess it kinda gives you the idea that the pictures were people you didn't really know that weren't
Right,
in the movie. So, it kinda guess gave you the idea that maybe somebody else used to live in this house, or this was their house, and for some reason, they're not there anymore, and these people are here. And in her looking around, she also does, and this confused the fuck out of me. I had to rewind it 3 times because I was like, "What is going on?" Because she gets to a door, and she almost opens it, but doesn't, and she says something like, "Hello," or "You okay?" Because I think it was supposed to be the mother-in-law's room.
right.
Then the camera, like, passes through the door and goes in that room, and you see a bunch of bodies on the floor.
Yeah,
Then she turns around and walks off and just does whatever, and I'm like, "You're not running? You're not freaking out?" It took me forever to realize she never opened the door.
yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, "Why is she not freaking out? This is a clear sign. This is creepy sign number 10." Okay.
Right,
Like,
right.
why are you not freaking out? But it took me a while. But she's just, going around, and she finds a pool table, she plays some pool, she does a bunch of stuff, but there's also creepiness going on that kind of stops her in her tracks a couple of times. So there is tension building throughout this middle section. She also tries calling her friend, and her friend's not answering because, of course, her friend didn't go home. Oh, and also her friend's dead. But
Right, but she doesn't
technically,
know that yet.
yeah, she doesn't know that yet, but she also doesn't know that her friend just stopped down the street and didn't
Right.
go home anyway. So she does that, and then, of course, she calls for the pizza. The guy that kills her friend also ends up delivering the pizza. Shitty pizza guy. She's
Little Caesars needs to hire better, like, they need to do better background checks.
right. So before he rings the doorbell, she's been running around the house, and she keeps hearing all these weird noises, and she's getting more and more creeped out. She has grabbed a knife, and she's walking around with this knife. The way it's set up, it's almost like she's freaking herself out.
Right.
Like, this is an old house. It's creepy. It's, got creaking noises, and old houses settle and shit. Plus, you got grandma, whoever it is upstairs, that's might be, moving around. So she's kind of creating fear in her head. It almost seems like the way it's building up, even though there is shit going on, it almost feels like she's kind of doing it to herself. So she's freaking herself out. So at one point, she's in a kind of almost frantic state, and the doorbell rings, but it's like an old doorbell that's like that weird, it's really loud. Like, it's a super loud doorbell. So it's jarring. So she's like, "Oh, pizza." So she runs, grabs the 20 bucks. This piece is $8. She opens
Right.
the door, throws the $20 at the guy and says, "Keep the change," grabs the pizza, slams the door shut, turns around, flumps down on the floor in front of the door, and she's holding the pizza box vertically. And I was
Oh,
like,
yeah, that drives me
"Girl,
crazy.
that pizza's gonna be a fucking disaster." I was like, "Wait." But apparently maybe it took a long time for him to get there because it ended up being fine. Maybe it was gotten cold enough to where it wasn't gonna slide everywhere.
Maybe.
But yeah, because she did end up eating a couple slices of pizza, which tasted horrible to her, so she threw it out and
Right.
drank a bunch of water.
So I'm thinking, because you really don't get a good view of the dead people's faces.
Mhm.
I am wondering if the photo was the precursor to them, that maybe
Yeah,
that was them in the photos,
that's what I was thinking too.
and that
Mhm.
the Ullman, like you said, like the Ullmans didn't really live there. It just
Right.
happened to be that they're there now.
Yeah, somehow they managed to take over this house in some weird way.
Right.
Yeah, nothing strange.
Alrighty. So let's moving forward. Part three: the ritual and the aftermath. So Samantha wakes up on the floor and she's in the middle of a giant pentagram, candles, symbols, the whole satanic starter kit.
Right.
I know some websites you can go to buy it all in bulk. The eclipse is in full swing outside, casting the world in blood red darkness.
Ooh.
The almonds are back, dressed in ceremonial robes, and that random guy, the one who shot Megan and delivered the pizza, he's there too. Now we see that this is the almond's son.
Mm-hmm.
Then the so called mother in law appears. Whatever she is, she's barely human. Her face looks like a dried apple with teeth. She slits her own wrists, lets the blood drain into a goat skull, and the almonds poured into Samantha's mouth while chanting their creepy ritual verses, racing against the clock to finish before the eclipse passes. That must not taste good after eating bad pizza.
That's not what I want to cleanse my mouth with. Yeah.
It's chaos and dread, but Samantha isn't going down quietly. She's able to break free. She jabs the son's eye with her thumb and
Mhm.
kills Mrs. Ullman before escaping the house. She does end up getting shot in the arm by the son a little earlier, but she still is able to get his gun away from him and gets on the way out. So she's stumbling outside and she goes into the graveyard. Silence is everywhere
Mhm.
compared to what was just happening. We see the shadow of the eclipse above. Mr. Ullman's like right behind her, still calm,
Yeah.
just following her, but still very calm. And he's telling her, oh, it's too late. She points the gun at him, shaking, then turns it on herself, refusing to give them whatever it is they wanted. He's freaking out, like, oh, well, not freaking out. I mean, as
Right.
freaking out as a
yeah.
calm, like dead
Right.
calm man can be. It's like, oh, please don't.
Yeah.
Don't. You don't know what you're doing. It's
Right.
fine. So she ends up turning the gun on herself and,
Mhm.
bang, and she falls over and
Right.
he's sad because he can't finish his little ceremony. So now we're in the hospital. We see Samantha unconscious in a bed. And nurse leans over, smiles, and says softly, "You're going to be fine." Then she touches Samantha's stomach. "You're both going to be fine."
Ooh.
Ooh.
What?
That's when it hits. The ritual worked. The spawn of Satan is officially on its way.
Yeah. Now, in this section, the one thing that I found most interesting was they used a real non 555 phone number. Did you notice?
No, I did not.
Yeah, on the phone, because she used the phone again in this section because Mr. Ullman gave her a phone number to call in case there was an emergency and she needed to contact them. They have, of course, the hanging on the wall phone that's a rotary phone. And in the middle of a rotary phone is a big circle that usually had your phone number on it. So when she called them, it showed that space and it was a real phone number. And I looked up the area code and it's a New York phone number. And I don't, and, I didn't call it, but people, I'm sure someone somewhere must have caught that and
Yeah.
probably
Oh, I'm
tried calling
sure.
that number. But I thought that was interesting because typically, whenever you have any movie, TV show with a phone number, it's always 555 and then whatever.
Yeah, and some other like random number or something fake.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can't call it, it doesn't exist. Typically, when you do have a real number in a movie or a TV show, it is because they want you to call it and there's some other there's something to it. So I didn't call, but I thought that was interesting that they had a real phone number there in that section. But yeah, it picks up the pace real quick at the end. Like it goes from super slow burn to once she is drugged and, start and falls asleep or whatever, knocks out. From that point on, it's boom, 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 boom. Like they tie it up quick. Because they go through, next thing you know, she's awake on the floor, tied down with all this shit around her, and creepy old lady has a goat's head, and she puts a blood pentagram or whatever on her stomach,
Yeah.
and then writes a W or something on her head. I don't know what that was for. Do you know? You're into this stuff. What is that?
Well, I don't know what a W is. Winner? I don't know.
Now, I thought they were just gonna sacrifice her. It didn't dawn on me at all that they were trying to impregnate her. I don't know why, because that's typically the way it happens. But it's either a blood sacrifice or a baby. It's
Right.
one of the two. Or a virgin sacrifice, whatever. But we didn't try to figure out if she was a virgin. Like there was
Yeah, no.
nothing
No,
about
it
that.
just felt like it was just going to be a plain old sacrifice.
Yeah, like that's why that's why I didn't think it was gonna be a baby. I just thought, oh, it was a regular sacrifice. Once the lady starts dripping all this fucking blood in her mouth, she's like, I'm out.
Right.
Like, she gets the strength of the Hulk and she's like ripping herself out of the things and getting up. And she does somehow, and I don't know where she got it. I don't know what it was, but she did stab Mr. Allman. She stabbed him. And then the son starts wrestling with her and she pokes her thumb into his eye. And of
Yeah.
course, he's like, oh, she poked me in the eye. Ah. And
Right. Owie!
and so she runs off. She gets out of that area and she goes running upstairs. Like, why are you running upstairs? I just don't understand.
It's just what you do when you're
I
scared. You just
it
run upstairs.
makes me crazy. But and of course, when she goes through the house to get to the staircase, which she could have just gone through the front door because it was right there. The only problem, I guess, would be that her friend was laying there in the middle of the floor because they brought her friend in and her face is blown off and there's blood everywhere. So she slips through all of that. Then she runs up the stairs and then the son runs up the other staircase because they both meet at the top and he has a gun. And this later on, after I watched the ending, and once we got to the ending, and I was like, wait, because he shot her, but he shot her in the shoulder. Of course, she falls and she's in pain and whatever, but she's not dead. He just shot her in the arm somewhere. And then he gets above her like he's going to shoot her to kill her, which doesn't make sense because the dad didn't want her dead. So I don't know. Maybe he was just pissy and was like, well, we'll just start over and we'll do it with somebody else.
Right.
And, you know, and then she has a knife. I don't know where she got the knife, but she has that knife and she is laying on the floor and he's up, standing up. And she just reaches her arm out and slashes across and happens to somehow manage to get his neck. That was a
Yeah.
stretch, I thought, but maybe she was literally stretching, I guess.
Maybe.
And so she slits his
She
throat.
she's limber.
Yes. She slits his throat. He drops the gun. And as he drops to the floor, she runs upstairs. Mrs. Ullman, who's up there. And now Mrs. Ullman, who had obviously been wearing a black wig, is now practically hairless. She ends up stabbing her and killing her. Then she runs out. On her way out, she grabs the gun, goes outside. She runs out of the cemetery. That's where Mr. Ullman, who is, even though he'd just been stabbed, he's just like, hun, let's not do this. This isn't a good idea. Like, he's
Right.
so calm. And it's like, what? Then she's like, fuck you. Instead of shooting him, which you think she would do, she decides to shoot herself, which she's not good at that, I guess, either. 'Cause
Right. She not only did she fail at life, she failed at death too.
yeah, no kidding. Of course, there's the whole Rosemary's Baby ending kind of where
Yeah.
she's got Satan's spawn in her belly.
Yeah.
So,
I did like the movie.
mhm,
It did get a little slow, and I'm not
yeah,
sure if this was Ty West's first movie or not, but it was definitely one of his earlier works, and you could tell. But still, I'm not a director myself, so I'm not gonna be
yeah,
like, oh my god, this guy sucks, unless the movie really sucked.
right, yeah.
Um, but all in all, I would give it 6 cents.
Mm.
It wasn't fantastic, but it wasn't bad either.
Right. Yeah, I outside of the first 25 minutes, which I obviously didn't enjoy, the rest of the movie I thought was good. Again, I loved the cinematography. I loved how it looked. I loved all the nostalgic references and the feeling that came from all those nostalgic references. And again, it felt so authentically old to me that I was shocked that these people are still the same age basically as
Right?
they were when they made the movie, pretty much like, whatever. I did like how he did build up the tension because once it did actually get to the part where it was technically a slow burn and the intensity that came from her running around and again, almost feeling like she's freaking herself out. Not that there's anything scary, but even though we know that obviously something is scary there or something bad's going to happen, it almost could be something where she's just freaking herself out. I also liked because if you didn't have the idea as to where this story was going, when the son who shot her friend, when that scene happened, you could almost at that point think there's some creepy fucker out here who's going to torment her and drive her crazy and do some shit to her in the house that may not have anything to do with devil rituals or anything like that. But of course, when the movie opens, there's that whole placard in the beginning that talks about satanic panic and the occult in the 80s. So
Right.
it kind of makes it so you already know that that's gonna happen, so you realize that this isn't what this guy's there for. He's just at that point, you're like, "What is he? Is he just some just random guy that just killed her friend, or is he part of the ritual?" But
Right.
they could have made it to where it could have seemed like he was some kinda crazy bad guy. You could
Yeah.
have kind of gotten that feeling from it, which he still was technically, but not in the way that he could have been. He could have been in a different way. it could have made the movie seem like it was going in a different direction, but really it was actually he was part of a satanic cult. But because he's also the pizza delivery guy and he was walking around outside all weird too after he delivered the pizza. So you also could have gotten that feeling from that as well. After the first part, I liked the movie. I liked the feel of the movie. I liked the pacing of the movie once we got to the house. The actual ritual part was super fast. I feel
Yeah.
like that may have maybe what they did in the beginning, they could have decreased and added a little bit more in that part where the ritual was taking place. 'Cause
Yeah, I
that
agree.
seemed to happen so fast. Like, they were like, "Oh, we gotta get this. Okay, rush, 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 rush."
Yeah.
So, that could have been a little different in regard to time and stuff. But, yeah, like you, I would give it 6 cents. It wasn't horrible. It was again, there were so many parts about it that I did like that weren't necessarily plot parts of the movie, but I think with what he was trying to go for with that feeling of those kinds of movies, he did a really good job in doing that. So, yeah, I'd go with 6 cents as well. So, you have anything else you'd like to add?
We can put a sock on it.
All right, sock applied. And that wraps up The House of the Devil, a movie that proves the real horror isn't Satan, it's student debt. Next month, we're carving up something special with our new theme, Thankslaughter, because nothing says family holiday quite like blood, bad decisions, and forced gratitude. We're kicking it off with Home Sweet Home from 1981, the movie that asks the question, what if your Thanksgiving guest was an escaped lunatic on PCP? Spoiler, it doesn't end well for the turkey or anyone else. This can be found on YouTube. Until then, be scared, be prepared, and don't get caught in the dark.